Greetings and salutations, this is Imperator Vespasian and his trusty sidekick.
Hello.
Who from now on is going to be a Robo-Man.
I obey without question.
I'm just going to do a quick video on the anatomy of a Dalek and a few ideas that I have about Daleks and stuff, which is like one of my all-time favourite things ever. And I'm going to use the Terry Nation Dalek Annual 1979. Primarily I just want to show off that I've got the annual because it's awesome and I know it's a big collector's item and I've had this since I was a child. I actually filled in one of the puzzles in it and I really wish I hadn't have done, but at the time I was about 6 and didn't know the difference. 6, no, let me do the math. I'd have been 5. Wow, I would have been 5 in 1979. I am really old. And where was the Doctor Who episode where that happened? That never happened in the Doctor Who episode, right? That gave me nightmares as a child.
What? A snake?
Yeah. You know, I went to Madame Tussauds when I was a little boy. I was a massive fan of Doctor Who and I loved the Daleks. I thought the Daleks were brilliant. And my father said, I'm going to take you to see the Daleks in Madame Tussauds. And I said, oh, brilliant, Dad, great. And so my dad took me and we walked in and the Daleks were there in the sort of foyer area. And I walked in, I went, oh wow, Daleks! And I ran up to it and went, hello, Dalek! And the Dalek went, exterminate! And started chasing me across the room. I screamed my head off. I was terrified. And so my father had to drag me around Madame Tussauds screaming continuously at everything because they were sure the Daleks were chasing me. And then when it came to leave, we were leaving out to the fire and there was a Dalek outside driving up and down going, exterminate! And I had nightmares for about a year. And after considerable therapy, I did get over it. But yeah, that was, you see, I really like Daleks. I didn't expect it to talk and move.
Hello, Dalek. Exterminate!
Yeah, exterminate the small human! Oh God, I still remember that.
Did you think he was chasing you or did he chase you?
No, he did chase me. They were moving. I think they were either animatronic or there were people inside. And they were moving.
The remote control.
But they were doing that annoying thing where like when you get something that just sits there quietly and you think it's a statue or you think there's no one in it.
It moves.
And then it moves.
And it speaks to you.
Yeah. I remember we were in a shopping mall, was it? The one in Norwich? I'm trying to think. And Michael was really small. And this is a long time ago. And it might have been Meadowhall. And there was like a vending machine thing. And when we walked past, a hand came out of it and grabbed us. Grabbed us. And I was fine, but Michael just screamed like mad and it brought all my memories back. I had a triggering and I needed therapy again. But I feel a lot better now. I have a court order to prevent Daleks coming within 1,000 feet of me. And Dalek saucers are not permitted to fly over my house anymore. But the doctor said I'll be fine one day soon. Anyway, we will get straight into this. I'm not going to show you the whole annual, unless you want me to. Hey, let me know if you want to. But this is the whole annual.
He doesn't mind.
I don't mind, honestly. Just do it.
He's obsessed with it.
Yeah. So this is the anatomy of a Dalek. And after regaling you with stories of my horrific childhood, terrible nightmares. This is the annual itself. Do you like it?
No, I just want to know about it.
Yeah, it's cool. This is basically an A to Z of what a Dalek is and what a Dalek does. Given that we're doing Daleks now as a game, we need to get more into Daleks. I'm looking forward to doing the Cybermen. Unfortunately, there was never a Cyberman annual. Oh, not that I know of, not that I care about. I'm sure it was good, but the Cybermen.
They're my favourite ones.
I love Cybermen. Yeah, I absolutely love Cybermen. But they are rather dull. There's no specialist Cybermen. You just get the cyber controller with a brain hanging out of his head.
The Centauri, who I like to call potato men. And then you have
Centaurans.
Yeah.
Centauri are from Babylon 5. Centaurans are from Doctor Who. Don't confuse the two. Londo would not be amused if you did things like that all the time. No.
Stop talking about Babylon 5.
I love Babylon 5. Babylon 5 is awesome. And I played a Centaur. Anyway, so this is the Dalek itself. We have the basic internal workings. If you watch the new Who, we're going to have to say, acknowledge that the new Doctor Who exists. Bring back John Hurt, that's what I say. He was the best Doctor. He was only in it for about 4 minutes of an entire episode, and he kicked more backside than Doctor Who did in years. He was right back to the days of Colin Baker when he used to shoot Sidemen with a gun. So here we have the Dalek. It's got a blaster, which is that there, which you can see on the Dalek model. What's the Dalek? Little Dalek, baby Dalek, little tiny Dalek, little Dalek, good Dalek.
Until it turns on and closure.
Yeah, I know, Daleks are... you couldn't be friends with the Dalek. Well, you could be, but the Dalek word for friend is something he hasn't exterminated
Give
yet.
it no brain.
Yeah, so you kind of...
Make it think exterminate is peace.
No, the Dalek word for friend is someone about to be exterminated. Daleks themselves are most Daleks are drones. They're just a grey Dalek. And they don't really think too much. Some drones will show themselves to have been slightly better, but more in thinking and maybe do something clever, and then they get promoted, and then they slowly work their way up the ranks. So it is a meritocracy, Dalek society. You don't breed an emperor, you don't breed a council member, you don't breed an officer Dalek. All Daleks are the same Daleks. All Daleks are Daleks. Although Daleks are bred in batches, and so you could technically have Dalek relations. So you have Dalek brothers and stuff, and they tend to think slightly more alike, and therefore they work better in units together. So you often find that a platoon of Daleks will be made up of the same brood, which is good because if that group of Daleks are particularly stupid and let the Doctor stand next to the control panel that controls the Robomen with a microphone in his hand, then those Daleks all get killed and it takes them out of the gene pool. It's very Darwinian. So the clever Daleks who shoot the Doctor on sight and they just ignore the whole episode, then they will actually get to have more Daleks. Does that make sense?
As complicated as you made it, yes.
Thank you. So we'll start off with the eye, because it's part 1. That's it. The eye lens is basically a magnifier. The Dalek can actually see all around it with its sensors. So the eye stalk is to zoom in on a target, and it is linked in with the gun. Although the Dalek head might be facing the wrong way, it is linked in with the gun so the Daleks don't miss. They're really good, really accurate, because they have this automatic targeting system. It's also immune to, it can see in the dark, and it's really cool. It's a useful thing. Secondly, the Dalek's voice. Daleks don't speak. Did you know that?
No, they don't speak with mouth.
No,
they speak with a robot.
Yeah, they don't have a language. Oh, they have a language between themselves, but when Daleks communicate, it actually gives out brainwaves. It's communicating. Yes, it's communicating telepathically. So you can have a Russian and a German who don't speak the same language, and they're standing in a room, and the Dalek would talk to them, and both of them would understand it in Russian and German, because the Dalek would be saying exterminieren, whereas to an English person it would be saying exterminate. You see, but in actual fact, it's the translation is done in your head. So the intention the Dalek has is transmitted to your head, psychically. So you basically hear what the Dalek wants you to think, or you hear what it wants to say. So it's a very simple thing. So you understand Daleks. When a Dalek says exterminate, it means it wants to kill you. And that's all you will mostly hear from a Dalek. But if a Dalek asks you a question, you understand the question straight away. No matter how the question is termed, you will understand the question. You will understand the order a Dalek gives you, because the Dalek is actually giving you the idea of what it wants you to do, which is why they're very good at running slave labour camps and stuff. Nextly, the energy dispensers. We discussed that in the other video, didn't we? the lights at the top of the Dalek. Because it's all run psychically, with lots of energy inside, the lights send off the spare energy, the spare power. And if you take out the lights, then the Dalek can overheat and die. So it would basically blow up. It would just cook. Which happens quite a lot in episodes of Doctor Who. Nextly, the casing. It's made out of Dalekanium, which is a type of metal apparently found only on Skaro, but I've seen several episodes of Doctor Who where they seem to find it all over the place. And they also call a bomb dynamite, a type of dynamite Dalekanium as well. So I hope they don't make Dalek suits out of exploding stuff. Yeah, it's basically 10 times stronger than steel, and it has a quarter the weight of aluminium. That would mean that a Dalek would technically be a medium tank. Yeah? Indeed. However, it does have weak points that can be damaged, so although it is mostly armoured, I think the rules have it right. And you can take it out with small arms fire if you're lucky. So the Dalek is relatively lightweight compared to the amount of armour it carries, but it's still a heavy piece of machinery. And if the Dalek machine falls over, it's pretty much stuffed. Nextly is the sensor bands, which is the area here, which is where a small person sits inside the Dalek and looks out. But apparently, in reality, it's not. It's actually there's bands that vibrate when there's a malfunction in the Dalek systems, and allowing other Daleks to know there's something wrong with the Dalek. The amount it vibrates is undetectable to humans, but Daleks can basically sense the emotions and the problems with Daleks between each other. So when a Dalek looks at a group of Daleks, he can tell if one of the Daleks has got problems and that need fixing. So it's relatively useful for Daleks. It's not really anything to do with us. It's basically what colour tie you're wearing that day for a Dalek. I would assume you can see how agitated they are as well. Next one is the blast gun, which I was going to start with, but I've come this way instead. Basically, it fires a bolt of highly charged energy. It's very, very dangerous, and it will basically electrocute you to death, which is quite unpleasant if you get electrocuted. And also will pretty much penetrate any armour that you've got as well. Oh, quite a lot of armour.
Well, if it didn't, I'd be surprised.
Yeah, it would take out light tanks and stuff, because it would simply electrify the tank and kill the crew. So it's quite useful. On higher settings, it can do even more damage. The gun is actually operated telepathically, so emotionally, should I say. So the Dalek actually moves around when the Dalek wants to move. So the machine itself is merely something to transport the Dalek creature itself around, which is this chap here, little tiny Dalek. And he falls out of the machine and he's completely stuffed. But while he's in the machine, he uses the machine like a suit, the same way that you drive a car. Sorry, I choked there. And the same way that you drive a car. The suction cup, that's on this. It's actually highly malleable. You'd think it wouldn't really do much, but in actual fact, it can suck onto things. It can lift huge weights.
And it can unplug your toilet.
And it can also clean your toilet. It's a very good point. You never find a problem with a Dalek bathroom.
That's boundaries.
Because all the Dalek does is go in and just stick its plunger down the toilet and clear it. So you never get dirty sewers where a Dalek is. They're brilliant at that. And obviously, out of work Daleks can always get a job as a plumber.
Yeah.
You've always got work, guaranteed.
Yeah, so it's got the equipment for it.
Yeah, because they're built in. I mean, they actually come with the equipment to do the plumbing.
Free.
Yeah, and if you've got a really bad stain, you just get the Dalek to move backwards and forwards over it and it'll polish it for you, which is very nice. And if you've got anything like lumping stuck to the wall, you could take the Dalek creature out of the machine and rub it against the wall. So it might not like it, but there are multiple.
You might bite your hand off.
Yeah, could poison you. Yeah, yeah. So Dalek
When you start talking about jobs for Daleks.
Yes. The Dalek sensitivity, the globes. You can see an internal part of the globe just there. The globe is basically a sensor. It enables the Dalek to feel the environment around it. So as the Dalek drives down the road, he can feel the wind on his back, or she. I think Daleks are probably more female. They're really vicious. As it trundles down the road, it will feel the heat of the sun. It will feel the breeze. It will, as if it's actually physically going down the road itself. So it's like a Spartan armor. You feel everything. The Dalek feels everything its armor feels. So it can tell if you're creeping up behind it. It can tell if you grab hold of it. If you touch it, you can feel everything. Which is very useful for the Dalek, because otherwise you're going to be inside a mech suit and you're not going to be able to sense a lot of things. And it's not really safe for a Dalek to climb out of its machine to go for a walk.
That's what you're saying.
Or crawl. Yeah. Although naturally born Daleks are found on Skyward. Just squidging around. Dalek-like. Obviously got left out. Next thing is the power, how it moves around. It moves around by magnetism, or the opposite of magnetism. What's magnetism when you push away from something? Not attraction, the other one.
What?
Resistance. The resistance that a magnet has, it uses to separate the machine from the actual floor, so it glides over the floor. So technically, a Dalek never actually touches the floor. It hovers all the time, which is how they fly. They just increase the amount of resistance, which increases the amount of distance between the planet's surface, or any metals and stuff in the Earth, and in the ground, not Earth, ground, soil, no, whatever. And it pushes the Dalek up, which is why the Daleks have metal floors, because it's just the cheapest, easiest way of moving around, because it just deflects itself from the metal rather and glides along. Which means if you push a Dalek, it will actually go out of control.
Which it did.
Yeah. So if you actually push against the Dalek has no brakes. It can only use its own energy to try and stop the push. So if you push it hard enough, you can actually push it. You can push it off a cliff. There you go.
Or down a ramp, like in the film.
Or down a ramp. You can push it down. You can push it anywhere, really. The Dalek has no brake system. The Dalek can actually magnetise itself to something, but it's not a suction cup on the base. It has to be metal in order to be able to suction itself. So when travelling through space, Daleks can actually latch onto the side of a ship and fly along the side of the ship. But I wouldn't advise it, because there's all sorts of asteroids and stuff in space you might get hit by. But it's very handy for air defence.
Air defence?
Yeah, you just stick Daleks to the outside, the Daleks shoot people for you. It's great. While the Saucer Commander sits inside and hides. Next thing is the fenders. Yes, this is actually part of the book, the fenders. Yeah, it's got a bumper. It's actually written there. It's about fender. Important part of the Dalek. The reason for the fenders is if two Daleks touch each other, they would basically either stick to each other or push each other apart, or possibly blow up. Two Daleks bumping into each other. In earlier battles, the Daleks in tight battle formation would often, one Dalek would bump into another Dalek and cause terrible things to happen. Yeah, chain reaction which could take out the entire squad. And so these resistors were put in, and these prevent Daleks from actually touching each other. In the same way that the Dalek hovers above the floor, so that's useful too. And that's it basically. That is the overall overview of the Dalek, using the most awesome book about Daleks. And I thought, given that we were doing our
Dalek
Army, we would do a little video on the actual Daleks themselves, because Daleks are quite interesting.
And he's obsessed with them.
I'm not obsessed with them.
Why?
I'm terrified of them. They chase you down, they just walk into somewhere and they just start exterminating you. So that's Daleks. as far as Dalek Society goes, Dalek Society is pretty much a hierarchical system with the best Dalek being on top, which works, I suppose.
And then you all get controlled by a hub.
What hub? Oh, you mean the central computer?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a central battle computer where all the Daleks are linked into, giving all Daleks access to any information any Dalek has ever seen or gathered. Meaning they have a huge Library of Alexander on Wikipedia available all the time. So really, Daleks drive around with Google, which is great.
Google Maps.
Yeah, they've got Google, so you can just Google map the area where you are. You can, if you see someone, you see a person, then you just use the face recognition software and try and find out who the person is. You get his driving license, date of birth, when he was born, when he died. Bear in mind, Daleks travel in time, so they know that stuff. So yeah, it's actually really useful. So you have instant link to Google. So maybe Daleks actually secretly invented Google.
If they're real, yes.
Yeah, but how do you know that ship that crashed at Roswell wasn't a Dalek ship, and that's where the technology of Google came from? Along with Velcro.
Velcro is made by sticky buds.
It was inspired by sticky buds. Yes. So anyway, that's it. That's really the end of the video. And given it's the end of the video, I'll just turn the book over to show you the back, which is awesome. Which is just as good as the front, but it's green. I like it. It's really good. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you found it informative, or at least fun, and you've enabled me to have some therapy online. What about you?
He needs help desperately.
You just got no sense of humour, that's your problem. You're practically Dalek.
Well, no, because if I was Dalek, I would have killed you already.
That's very true. Or you could be trying to keep me as a slave so I can dig all the way down to the core of the planet so you can mine it.
Why would I want to mine it?
Because the core of Earth is actually an alien weapon system.
I'm trying to throw it down there and then lock it up.
Okay, fine. So that's it. Thank you very much for watching. It's been jolly good fun doing the video, and over to you.
So if you enjoyed this video, please do like and subscribe, and comment down below if you liked his commentary over the book.
It wasn't just mine, because you did some too. You had a really good idea about the toilet cleaning though.
Yeah, no, great toilet cleaning machine.
Yeah, if you ever decide to become a plumber, on the side of your van just put a Dalek with a huge suction cup and say, we do plumbing.
That'd be a great...
That is a good idea.
That's my idea. I'm going to plumber when I'm older.
Yeah, if you take that idea, just give me a donation at Patreon. That'd be cool. I love Patreon. I do like Patreon. Right.
No, I'll leave it to you.
Yeah.
So I don't understand that kind of stuff.
I'm just dealing with it. Right, so thank you very much for watching the video. Leave a like, leave any messages you like, even rude ones. And, well, that's really it. We have to go. We have a life outside Doctor Who, but not much of one. I'm going to go and dress up as Adric. See ya.
I've got an idea.
What?
Maybe we should gather all the hate comments that we get and make a video on it.
Why?
Because it'd be funny.
Yeah, but they're not that good, really.
No, they're complicated. Right, yeah, this is right.
Well, no, all the bad comments I get via Twitter, social media.
Everybody,
everything.
tell us what's on your mind when you think about us.
Oh God, don't tell us that. Well, no, right now the viewer is currently thinking about a Dalek cleaning his toilet. So that's all he's got in his head. So there's a Dalek there cleaning his toilet with its suction, and then he tries to shake your hands afterwards.
Oh God.
And you say, could you pass me a drink? And it says, yes, and it picks the drink up and hands it to you. I mean, are you going to drink from that now?
Well, no, it'll suck it in and then suck it out.
And now when he looks at his cold can with little tendrils of water running down the side of the can because it's so cold and it's lovely and you just want to start drinking it, you're now thinking of a Dalek suction cup that's been down your toilet, been attached to it. So this is really good. Yeah, it's doing it to you now. See?
Shut up!
See?
Shut up!
And
That's reverse psychology.
yes. Oh yeah. Right. Have fun and excitement. Thank you very much for watching the video, and it's goodbye from me.
And goodbye from him.
Goodbye.